What's up guys, NepentheZ here and welcome back to another episode of The Road to Glory. Much more gameplay today, some new FUTMAS things coming out, the daily FUTMAS SBC, which we're going to start off with here today. The three players here, Jordi Alba, for what it's worth. I mean, by the time you're watching this video, these won't be here anymore. Jordi Alba is an utter waste of coins. In my opinion, Van Dijk is also a waste of coins. He's the sort of player that you'll probably have for a bit, but not for long. So to dump what I think is about 100,000 coins into Van Dijk, what's Foot been saying for him right now? Yeah, 90 to 95k. Sure, you can reduce that a fair bit by using the red cards. They still have opportunity cost, but I just don't think it's worth it personally. You know, maybe if you have a full Premier League team and you've got an excess amount of coins, you've got a good trading method, you do well on Foot Champs, it might be worth splurging. But if you're sitting there with 100,000 or 120,000 thinking, man, is this where I want to put my coins? I don't think it is. Junuzovic is reasonable, in my opinion. You know, 22,000 coins you can complete him for. If you've got a red card, a red variant of a card, even cheaper, you know, you could do that quite comfortably, very cheap. What have we got here? So an 81 rated with 80 chemistry and 3 Bundesliga players. So for me, I could use this Brandt card, I could use Grankvist, I could use Gustavo. These are all players that I don't necessarily need right now, or aren't, you know, players that I'm not using right now. We've got a lot of red versions. We've got a lot of 81 reds. We've got, you know, Griffo, Zila would be a good option to use as a Bundesliga player. Mali as well. We've got some 81s in there as well. We've got any Bundesliga 81s? No, but, you know, even Dira or Artur Boruc, Cook, Ashley Young, like these are all dudes that you could quite comfortably use and just save yourself 10,000 coins. And the reason why I actually do like Junuzovic is because he's got a reasonably well-balanced card for a super sub. Now, I don't know if I want to do him because he's only 82 rated. His card is actually, like I say, it's reasonably balanced, right? It's okay. He's only 5'8", which is a bit of a problem. But it's very well rounded, but it's only 82 rated. So to turn over a red card that's probably 81 rated or 82 rated and another team to get another special card that's, you know, 82 rated, for me personally, I don't think it's worth it. But if you're the kind of guy that has a Bundesliga team and you're looking to upgrade, you know, if you can't afford Vidal and you've got something like Goretzka's base card or something, Junuzovic would actually be a good upgrade for that, and I think it's reasonable to do at the 22 to 23,000 coin mark. The daily FUTMAS SBC, guys, this one's mad easy. You need 4 goals, 5 leagues, 4 nations, and only 70 chemistry, right? So first and foremost, we'll go and get our league, our first league essentially. We'll just go and use low to high on here. We'll hopefully get some from the same club and different nations. Him, and then in at Cam, if we've also got that club, we don't, but we can pop in, say, this guy here. That's going to be obviously a good start for us. So we need 4 nationalities is what we need, and we've already got 3. 5 leagues is also what we need. Now we can actually carry on with the English League 4 and pop. So this guy can go in because obviously perfect. Or strong link, should I say. Let's see if we can get, it doesn't really matter from this point. We'll pop him in, and then at right mid we can throw in this guy because he also gets a strong link. So everything here is done, right? We've got 1 league, we've got our 4 nations, we've got our 70 chemistry. At this point, I literally just need some goal players. And the beauty of it is that we should be able to get the chemistry by using any gold players. So I'm just going to use the most useless golds from different leagues, and that's it. And then that's going to be us done. So we'll pop this guy in. Let's pop. Ooh. See, I don't know about these two, man, because they're like obscure clubs. I don't want to use those. I want to use like major leagues. I think him, and I think that should be us, right? So 5 leagues minimum. What am I missing out on? I've got 2 from the French league, right? So let's get rid of this French league goalkeeper, and we'll go back to the low to high golds, and never mind. And we'll go and get our next player, and yeah. And then after we do this, guys, after we get this completed, what we're gonna do is we are gonna let's use this guy, MLS player, no problem at all. Look at that, that's perfect. Yeah, what we're gonna do after this, dudes, is we're going to get into the final 5 games of our FUT Champions run. So can we make it to Elite 3? Yes or no? I know it's late for the last games being Wednesday. I want to try and get my games done by Tuesday going forwards. But this is what we've got. We get ourselves a Jumbo Gold pack. Is it going to contain anything decent in it? No, it's not. We do get 2 rare players though. Could have a Gabriel Jesus, an Anthony Martial, a Herman the German. Hey man, you got to take what you can take. Maybe we've got a draft token in here or something, you know. You never know what you're going to have in here. We get Zapata, Demirbay, some nice players in there. That's not too bad. Some contracts, which obviously would be nice and usable. Some position. Ooh, that's quite nice. A Sentinel Chem style, a 1,000 coin unlock. And I'm actually going to have to discard Herman the German because I don't have any space on my trade pile. So that wasn't too bad. We definitely made profit off of that pack, which is very nice. That 1,000 coin unlock and like 900 coins to discard. That cost us no more than 2,000 coins to make. We had, you know, good chem style in there. We had a good position modifier in there. We had some players in there. We easily made profit off of that. But this is going to be the end of the intro, guys. Let's get into the gameplay. Okay guys, into the gameplay we go, and the final 5 games are upon us for our FUT Champs run. I needed to get 4 wins from our last 5 games. We come up against an insane squad in the first game. I'm just going to let the gameplay play out. You get to enjoy like just goal fests, absolute goal fests. My defending in these games was horrific. In some games, fortunately enough, my offensive plays were great. I've got some comments. There were some picky comments, guys. You've got picky comments, haven't you? You guys, sometimes you just want to look picked, don't you? So we're going to start with those. I thought, let's indulge for a bit. Why not? The first one's from Big Head Terry. He said, "Hey Nep, why do you spend an extra 4k on a shadow when you always say that with a shadow he goes up to 98 acceleration and 98 sprint speed? However, when I do this, they feel no different. Just want to hear your opinion on this. Love the vids. Keep up the good work." This isn't one of those picky comments. This is a very valid comment. What I'll say is that feeling no difference doesn't mean there's no difference. What you've got to understand is that it's not just you that puts chem styles on. You don't get chem styles on your team and your opponent doesn't, you know, doesn't get them. You both get them. So I see this a lot on Reddit, and people are like, "Oh, chem styles are useless. I applied a chem style to my midfielder and he still gets caught up by a defender." And it's very highly likely that that defender had a shadow chem style on him, so his pace is also boosted, right? So the whole purpose of chem styles is, if I don't put any chem style on, say, Goretzka, who goes up to 97 pace, if I put no chem style on him, or put a sentinel on him and boosted defending and physical, he's going to be too slow because that winger is also going to be at like 99 pace. So when you feel no different, that means you do it and you think that you feel no difference, and that's because your opponent has chem styles on too. For anyone that disputes chem styles and doesn't believe them to be true, I'll ask you to put on chem styles that completely are counterintuitive to the player that you're working with. For example, on a striker, put on something that boosts his passing and defending. I can't remember what it's called. Put that on, passing and defending. And then tell me that your striker isn't slower and misses more. On a defender, put on something that boosts dribbling and shooting. Give all your defenders sniper chem styles and tell me if you start conceding more goals. And the margins aren't going to be huge. You're not going to go from like, oh, let's say you're a gold 1 standard player and you put on the complete opposite chem styles. You're not going to drop down to like bronze 3, right? Skill is still paramount. It again comes down to those situations where it's like in a game versus someone of a relatively equal skill level, that's where your minuscule advantages make the biggest impact. So your team, your chem styles, your fitness, how well you play, your formation, that's when they will make a difference. If you got, if you come up against a guy who's got a full icon team, stat carded, perfect chem styles, but he's legitimately terrible at the game. For example, if you gave your significant other or your mum a control pad with a full icon team, she's probably not going to win. Because unless your mum plays FIFA all the time, maybe she does. But I know if I gave my mum a control pad to play FIFA with a full icon team, she would get smashed by anybody who's half decent at FIFA with a bronze squad. So, the closer the team, the closer the skill gap, the closer the true skill of the player, the more impact chem styles have and are useful for you. So if you come up in the FUT Champs against someone that you're just considerably better than, that is enough without Chemstar's for you to just win that game. And on the contrary, if you come up against someone who's just considerably better than you, that's when I feel like people are like, well, you know, my players just wouldn't do anything. And the truth of the matter is because you're getting outplayed by tactics, by gameplay, by positioning, by decision making. That's obviously my opinion on those sort of things. But in terms of in terms of Chemstars specifically, if you don't believe in them, don't use them, and just tell me how quickly you're like, holy damn, I need to put Chemstars on these players, because trust me, they work. Donkey G says, Nep, you always talk about the pro players and the meta teams, but why would you go for Modric when you know a big midfield is important? Just curious why you'd want him in your team. The meta stands for most effective tactic available in the context that we use it in, and there are many regards where there's not one specific item or thing that is part of the meta. So the meta for midfielders is not just a big tanky midfielder, because otherwise you'd see Fellaini's all over the place and nobody uses him because he lacks in other areas. What Team of the Year Modric will give is the most impeccably well-rounded midfielder. In fact, already, without even being a Team of the Year card, Modric has some of the greatest stats in the game in areas that are important. So he's got 84 composure, his Team of the Year card I would expect would be in the mid-90s. He's already got exceptional dribbling, and although he's only got 86 passing, he actually has 90 vision and 92 short passing, so his passing is exemplary. His standing tackle is very, very high, his stamina is very good, his long shots are decent, and once you give him that Team of the Year card, you know, that 96 or 97 rated card that he might get, he is going to be so incredibly well-rounded that it will make up for those few inches that he lacks in height in the midfield. It was the same last year, you know, he's 4-star, so that works perfectly for him. He will have impeccable physical, defending, dribbling, passing, shooting, and much, much better pace. And so, like I say, in terms of what a meta player is, yeah, sure, he won't be the biggest, tankiest player for you, but as long as you've got a couple other big tanky players in there, and for me, I'll be looking to have Vieira still, Ruud Gullit, and Lothar Matthäus. Maybe Lothar Matthäus. I haven't quite decided on Lothar Matthäus yet. I can't decide if I want to play Ruud Gullit as my right centre mid or as my cam, and Matthäus as my right centre mid, because in that instance, what a goal that was, by the way. If I do have Modric and Matthäus as my two outside centre mids, I have then got two short centre mids in my like triangle, well, like diamond in the centre, and I think that will personally be detrimental to the squad. Even though my cam and CDM will be absolute monsters, I think maybe a balance of 2 and 2 is workable. But I think I personally would prefer my two monsters to be my CDM and one of my outside centre mids. So, but you see the effective players this year. Vidal is one of the greatest meta players in the game this year, and he's 5'9" or 5'10". Nainggolan is one of the greatest meta players in the game so far this year, and I believe he's 5'9" as well. Luka Modric coming in at 5'9" too. He'll be good, man. He'll be good. He will absolutely be just the perfect position for what I want him for. I'm absolutely sure. So that's my opinion on that. Mew02136 says, you said Junuzovic was an okay card. He has better total stats than Herrera and costs about a tenth of the price. And you're not wrong. He does have better total stats than Herrera, and I don't think he costs about a tenth of the price. I'd say maybe a fifth of the price is more fair. But when you compare the two, again, going into what's meta, they both have high work rates, which is great. Junuzovic is 5'8" tall versus 6 foot of Ander Herrera. Ander Herrera also offers considerably better links, and he's much higher rated, so will be more usable in the future in an SBC when I'm going to be getting rid of him, because Herrera is not a mainstay in my team. He is a guy that will eventually go. You are right though, in terms of total in-game stats, Junuzovic has 5 more in total after applying a Shadow Chemstar, because that's what I would use on them. When we look at the breakdown of the in-game stats, Junuzovic is considerably faster. That's where he gets that from. You know, 93 acceleration on the pair of them, but he has 90 sprint speed versus the 81. When you look at then important stats for the position that I personally play Herrera in, shooting isn't an important stat for my outside centre mids because I don't use him in that manner. My cam and 2 strikers are usually the ones that score the goals. But with that being said, Herrera has better positioning, which is a more important stat, and by a fair shot as well, by 7. Better finishing anyway, so if he does get in the box, he's going to be better than Junuzovic. worst long shots by 5 and worst shot power. No, sorry, worst shot power by 5. Apologies, and worst long shots by 8. Considerably worse volleys, but that's a totally irrelevant stat. And then in turn, considerably better penalties, but again, that is a totally irrelevant stat. So in terms of shooting, they're very, Herrera will be better inside the box. Junuzovic will be better outside the box. Neither of them have specifically exemplary shooting abilities, and that's not what I would personally use for them anyway. When we then look at passing, Herrera has one more overall passing stat, 85 versus 84, but he has 10 more vision, which in my opinion is an important stat because what we've seen, the thread that was on Reddit and stuff, basically vision is how big the scope of passing abilities become. So the longer the pass, the bigger the vision basically opens up a triangle. Imagine a cone opening. The more the vision, the more the triangle opens, so the more that player can see. And then the more that pass will be accurate in that sense. And we talked about this literally about maybe 2 weeks ago. In my opinion, vision should be the only stat, because if vision is an important stat with how passing works, what's the point of having short passing and long passing, right? I guess they work hand in hand. I guess one of them is super influential more than the other, or maybe like vision and the passing is more important. But in terms of like the irrelevant stats for passing, crossing and free kick accuracy are absolutely irrelevant, and that is where Junuzovic comes up trumps. He has 89 versus 77 and 86 versus 68. So a lot of those total in-game stats that he's better than Herrera in are in stats that just have almost no influence in a game of FIFA. In terms of short passing, Herrera has 90 versus the 82 of Junuzovic, and long passing, Herrera has 83 versus 82 in terms of Junuzovic, and then Junuzovic has much better curve, which again, in my personal opinion, is just a largely irrelevant stat. So in terms of actual key stats in passing, Herrera is head and shoulders better than Junuzovic. And then into dribbling, Junuzovic has better agility by a bit, better balance by a lot, but he has incredibly worse reactions, which again I personally believe to be an exceptionally important stat, because it's a stat that a lot of defenders, centre-backs specifically, have as a high attribute. So when I'm looking at Herrera as a defensive-minded midfielder, the fact that he also has high reactions is much better. He has better ball control, which again, I find to be super important. He has way more composure in the grand scheme of things, 86 versus 81, and has one less overall dribbling, like dribbling 83 versus 82. And again, I like, if you look at the two of them, if you break them down, Herrera has much better stats in stats that are much more relevant in FIFA, and Junuzovic has better stats and sometimes much better stats in areas that are not so important in the game. And then when we come to defensive and physical, Herrera has more interceptions, more marking, more stand tackle, more slide tackle. He also has more strength, more aggression, a little less jumping, a little less heading accuracy, and a fair bit less stamina, 96 versus 90. But generally speaking, after actually breaking the players down, it's clear that Herrera is considerably better than Junuzovic, because of the important stats that are in the game. And again, Junuzovic is 5'8" versus 6 foot of Herrera. I personally think Herrera is good value for money, in my opinion. And the next comment is from, let me take the other one that I just wanted to have a look. So Arturi Lane said something that a lot of people said, and this was just a misspeak from me, because when I'm saying things, a lot's going on in my head and I'm trying to, get it out. Said Nep is always so biased when he compares players, which I'm genuinely not. And in this instance, we were talking about Rui Costa and Alessandrini, and in his opinion, I was being biased towards Alessandrini, in spite of the fact I play with Rui Costa and not with Alessandrini. So if I was biased towards Alessandrini, surely he would be the one that I would be using. But anyway, he says, I can't see how Alessandrini's 67 strength compared to Costa's 84 is a little less. When I was talking about a little less, I was talking about physical in general. As I say, I was trying to get through the stats quick, because like right now there's only like 2.5 minutes left of this video, maybe 3 minutes left of this video, and I've still got a lot to get through. So I start rushing what I'm saying and kind of not getting everything out. So in terms of their actual physicals, Alessandrini's physical is a little less, not his strength. His strength is considerably less, but his physical is 75 overall, whereas Rui Costa's is 79. That's what I meant. I didn't actually mean his physical, his like physical strength. I meant just his overall physical. So apologies for misspeaking, but that is pretty much what I meant. The next one I wanted to take just before we get out of here, I guess, he said, Nep, like you said when comparing the stats of Alessandrini and Costa, the difference of 1 in an in-game stat isn't important, it's negligible. And I completely agree with that and stand by that. He says, so keeping this in mind, assuming a player had 95 short passing, 94 short passing is pretty much identical. Correct. Then 93 short passing is near identical to that, which is also correct. This will carry on until you're left with a situation where 20 short passing is nearly identical to 95 short passing, which clearly isn't true. Sorry, what? How have we jumped to that? He says, so when does a stat become noticeably different? Love the content, keep up the good work. I mean, can you not use some common sense? I'm not saying, when I say, 95 versus 94 is basically the same, I very, very, very much doubt you will ever, if you got like 2 character models identical, and one of them was 95 in every stat, and one of them was 94 in every stat, and I said to you, without any reasonable doubt, which one is the one with 95s and which one is the one with 94s, you would really struggle to be like, it's definitely this one, right? You would just struggle. And so, in what you're saying, someone with 93 passing and someone with 92 passing, you would struggle to tell them apart. In the same manner that someone with 80 passing and someone with 79 passing, you would struggle to tell them apart. But someone with 79 passing and someone with 95 passing, you can tell the difference. I don't know why I don't know where you got the 95 short passing is near identical to 20 short passing. I don't know how you got that. Is 20 short passing near identical to 21 short passing? Absolutely, but they're both horrendous passers of the ball. To what you say and what you say is when does the stat become notably different? In my opinion, something around the 6+ mark, I would say you'd probably start noticing a difference. And again, for me personally, that is in key stat areas. So, for example, when we was looking at Junuzovic and Herrera, Junuzovic had like far better free kick accuracy, and that's just irrelevant. It doesn't make any difference. But if Junuzovic had 6 more composure, I'd say, hey, you'd probably notice that. There'll probably be some times where you're like, well, damn, that really worked out well for me. And in the same token, if you have, for example, Rui Costa actually is a perfect example in terms of his finishing abilities. Because his finishing is so low. Even with a Hunter, it only goes up to 85. And with a Deadeye, it goes up to 90. And I think, does Maestro take it up to 90 as well? Maestro takes it to 80, which is what I think I have Maestro on my Rui Costa. I might have Catalyst on my Rui Costa, I don't know. But his shooting, when it's 85, 80 or 75, if I don't give it the full 15 boost, it is considerably noticeable that his shooting is worse. When I get him up to 90, which is a maximum, even then I still feel like, well, damn, I can notice that his shooting isn't as good as like when I have Alessandrini in a cam, because Alessandrini, which I believe I had Hunter on, Alessandrini with a Hunter goes up to 92 shooting. And hey, maybe, like I say, maybe the difference between the 92 shooting of Alessandrini and the 85 of Rui Costa I can notice. But I will also say that I missed quite a lot with Alessandrini, which is why I took him out of the team, because I just felt like he wasn't clinical enough. So it might have been more prudent, more beneficial to pop, say, a Hawk on Alessandrini, which would have given him 87 finishing. That's even worse. Maybe a Deadeye on Alessandrini would be better. 97 finishing and 99 shot power with 93 pace, but then he doesn't have that ability of having 99 pace. But he is a cam, not a striker. So, I don't know, there's things around. In terms of answering the specific question, at what point does a stat make a difference? Or what point can you notice a difference? So, if you had 2 identical players and one had, say, let's literally say 90 finishing and one had 80 finishing, I do think you'd be able to notice the difference between the two. But if it was, say, like 80 finishing and 85 finishing, I don't really think you'd be able to notice a difference between the two. So I'd say anywhere around like the 6 individual stat point mark or higher, you'll really start to notice a difference, and it might be worth upgrading if you're suffering in a specific area. But again, this game is a game that is really heavily driven by very specific set of in-games. A lot of the stuff just doesn't make any difference. And again, if we go to, let me just take a player here. If we go to stats that just have generally no relevance in the game, we look at heading accuracy, We're looking at curve, free kick accuracy, crossing, because nobody crosses in this game, so it doesn't make any difference. We're looking at volleys and penalties. Those are stats that are really, really, really irrelevant, in my opinion, in this game. And so if you've got a player that's heavily overburdened in those areas, but is less in other areas, and you're using him and you're thinking, well, why doesn't this guy perform? Because his face card looks quite good. The truth is probably in the in-games. And also on the turn of where we compare Junuzovic and Herrera, the difference is quite vast in between their in-game stats that are important and what makes one of them a meta player and one of them not. I'm not saying Junuzovic isn't a good player either. I've not used him this year. He might be one of those, you know, one of those like little gems that people might use and just find to be incredible. But for me personally, his in-game stats aren't what I would expect out of my meta players or my good team or my favourite players or just my starting lineup. I don't think he quite covers that. I've lasted way too long already on this outro. You've probably just been looking at the screen, the play match screen for the last 3 or 4 minutes. I still didn't get through all the comments, so apologies about that once again. We managed to hit 29 wins just. I had to win 6 or 7 of my last 8. It was definitely 6 of the last 7. I lost game 36, and then I had to win 4 in a row. Not only did I win 4 in a row, I came back from being, I think I was losing in all 4 of the games actually. At least 3 of the games I was losing in, and I went 3-1 down in one of the games in the 75th minute, and that guy was good at FIFA. And I got Elite 3 literally just. In one of the weekends where I played the worst FIFA of my life, I got 29 wins still. So if I can fix that, if I can sort that out this week, if I can try and get my team together and get my gameplay together and go back to basics and start again, I'm hoping that we can progress on from there next week and push up towards the 32 to 34 mark again. That's where I'd hope to be next weekend. But this is going to be the end of the video, guys. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, rating, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But for now, guys, I'm out. Peace.